It is week 2, though I'm not really counting, on the creation of my 2026 art collection or series, if you will. The reason why I'm doing this collection is to basically give my website a boost, give my artist statement more of a solid grounding, give my artist identity, branding, if you will, more of a solid base, kind of just something that is like, here is Anna Wallace as an artist. Here's her collection. Here's her consistency. Here's kind of the array of her works and what she's up to. My personal experimentations are coming to a close, and I'm ready to start showing some work that really portrays me, my story, and what I'm interested in. So, yes, that is what I'm hoping to do for this year, and I'm really excited for the series. It's very personal to me, but also broad enough to be relatable, and that's kind of the goal. This week, I am taking on the approach of doing the majority of my drawings first, rather than doing like sticking to one, drawing it, and then painting it, and then moving on. I've done that in the past and it's been successful, though, because there's a lot of question marks still about like my painting surface or even my colors, and I just haven't taken the time to do that, but yet I know all of my concepts. I am going to start drawing all of them, and then I'm going to start kind of putting in paint, putting in more of that artistic element that is outside of the planning, and really start doing that free flow and give these creations a voice of their own. So last week you saw me do the time drawing, or at least the planning of it. You saw me start the generations piece with plenty of critique, and I believe I finished it this week with a couple of notes, but no big deal. And then I started on the mega painting of Overthinking. That one's like 25 hands, 30 inches by 30 inches. It's got a lot going on and required a lot of my time to draw those hands. So that is what I was doing this week. And I took you on to the process of planning it out and kind of from that start to finish on how I basically conceptualize and create a painting, taking it from that tiny thumbnail that I've shown you in the past and actually bringing it to the light, into scale, into what it's going to look like. Can't wait to show what I'm up to and bring you along on this journey. I am excited to get to the painting, but of course, drawing in watercolor is like the bread and butter. It's like, I was talking to a friend and I love how he says, like, basically, watercolor is drawing. Like, you have to be good. You don't have to be good at drawing, but drawing is such a fundamental part of watercolor. You got to take your time to really plan out your composition and what you're going to be doing on that paper, because once you start watercoloring, there's really no going back. As you know, and maybe that's why a lot of people don't like it, is once you put down watercolor, it's not really going to come back up. So you got to plan those highlights, plan those last layers before you even put down the first layer. And a lot of that times also comes from knowing what your whole painting is going to look like, which also comes from the drawing. And then you're good to go. Okay, enough of that. Let me get to show you what I've been up to this week.
Welcome to my channel.
This one, the overthinking one's very interesting because instead of putting these hands on the surface that I'm going to paint on, I am deciding, because I think I want a little bit more play, I'm deciding to put these hands on a larger piece of paper, put some tracing paper on top, and then tracing over it again. That way I have kind of the whole picture in front of me. The conclusion piece, this one, worked out well because it was just like a bunch of stacking, and it was like, can I just fill in the holes? This one needs a little bit more attention to the details of how that's kind of revolving around. All right, let's go back to what the sketch was. This is the thumbnail. Obviously, we cannot tell what those hands are, but the hands later different gestures on a white or gray background. This was when I was also making up the idea of the conclusion piece. And just to make things easier to plan out, I will also be drawing new hands, but I'm going to be using all of these tracings just to kind of get an idea of how many hands, what they could be like. And I'm just going to place them around in this circle and go from there. I dug out my huge paper roll, which is exciting because I haven't used it in years. My original idea was 22 by 22, but since I've been increasing the size of the other ones, I think this one's gonna need an increase as well. All right, so right now, this is a 36-inch ruler. My original idea was to make it 22, just like right here. That just feels too small for it to be a circle, and I want it to feel like a lot of hands. What if I did like 30 or 28? Somewhere in there? When the paper's bigger than the table. All right, problems. Man, guys, having a square like T ruler, best investment. Why I didn't get one sooner, I don't know. Maybe because it felt like overkill, but you deserve the overkill, the extra. 30 is pretty nice. I think I'm gonna go with 30. Yes. Clean. The fun thing is that I can put a tack or something to hold a piece of string and then put it all the way out to create my circle. How far? So, nah. I want it 9 inches. Let's do that. 9. Okay, be right back. I didn't have any string, so I just used some masking tape, kind of created a string, tied off my pencil, and I'm going to use this tack. Tack it in there, make sure it's that 9-inch, and then we're good to go. Okay, let's give it a whirl. Haha, that was chaotic. All right, that is a 18-inch diameter, which looks beautiful. My critique with that method is great, except you have to make sure that your pencil is just sticking straight down and you don't have an angle, because then you're going to end up something like this over here, or even like over here. That was a pretty good go. That was my first time to do it like that. We got a circle, guys. A lot of these hands I used in my conclusion piece that seemed like a really good fit. And a lot of these are getting pretty old, which you can tell is kind of a different style. And the idea is that they're going to be super jumbled together, layering on top, kind of still maintaining a rotation. This is kind of my favorite part. Yeah. All right. I am going to take a closer look at all these hands, play with that, and I'll keep you updated on what we find out, what it's going to be. Here is my circle. I've kind of decided putting the hands in a reef that go all the way around in one direction is pretty on point to the idea of overthinking, and that is a continual circular motion. So I think I'll keep it to that. This is kind of the idea of how I'm going to be stacking the hands to where they just feel like they're just jumbling around. And I got way more hands to do. Okay, I just drew so many hands. Let's see. I think I have, 25
Wow.
hands, and then I might add a couple more. This is what it is right now. Boop. Scale, hand for scale. All of these are life size, which is really fun. I think I need a nap. Let's take a nap and come back. This is a lot. And I was thinking, okay, I got them all down. Now, what do I do next? Can't really like, I could bring them all up again, put the graphite on the back, and then press them onto this paper. That would be a lot of work. That would be messy. It'd probably kind of ruin this flow that I just laid down. And I already kind of like thought of this when I was doing it. And I was like, all right, we're just going to problem solve this once we get here to this stage. And guys, bingo, I thought of it. All right, we're just going to put 2 giant layers of tracing paper on top of these tiny little tracing papers. And we're going to draw on the tracing paper and make sure that the tracing paper is taped down so we're not disturbing, and that is how we're going to do it. Okay, watch and learn. But where some of these marks overlap into the other hands, I'm not going to draw. And that's the one main reason why I want to do it this way. Oh wait, I see something. Hold up. Let's put it kind of back where it was. I forgot a finger. Okay, I think I got it. Woo! I've lined it up in the center. I got it taped. And you can faintly see better the circle that I had underneath. And these are all flowing together so nicely. Whoa. Cool. I'm going to say that this is done for now, and we're going to put it aside and start drawing on my next piece. I got my favorite pencil, and if you know, you know. And we are about to find out. I think I'm going to just try to do this all by hand. I really want the challenge. I want to feel the reward of doing this. There is no shame in going digital. I've done that many times. It has its own perks and cons, own struggles, but this just needs a certain type of feel, and I think doing it by hand would suit me best. I got it on a different size. We're doing 18 by 24. Just so I know, maybe this will help me have like an invisibility of where the hand is, like where it's supposed to be. Kind of like a wireframe. For all you animation nerds out there, you'll know what I mean. It's not exactly like one, but it's just like I got something to go off of. So when then I create movement in this, I know where it was. So I don't want to make this look too goopy, where then it doesn't look like a hand anymore. And that is the challenge. say, this is a pretty good round right now because of all the pencil marks. I think this is going to look more like string cheese, but once it's color and without the harsh outlines, I think it'll look softer, look a little bit more liquidy. I really enjoy this like thumb drip here. This is a really light melt and swooping over the thumb. We got some swirls happening. This will be a blank space for the hand to show through, and it's going to be creeping through the cracks here and then continuing to blend. These are just indicators of where the like shadowing of that last stitch is going to go. It's not going to be a harsh line because this will be going to be all melty. And then it just continues to kind of like string itself down, kind of like honey or syrup. And that's really nice, drawing your eye down. And then a lighter, kind of like milky explosion at the end here, rather than just being like so much like water friction. Something a little more commercial looking, maybe like milk. And then some nice strips. Yeah, this is looking good. Now I just gotta decide what to do with the arms and what to do with the background. Now that I'm looking at it a little bit more closely, all of this could actually just go over a smidge from the center line. That wouldn't be too bad. This one, yeah, probably all of it, just boop, and then perfect. And side note on this guy with those hairline cracks. All right, so I was thinking about it. This actually could be a really cool feature if you wanted the cracks, because I don't know if it actually breaks the integrity because the clay, I'm pretty sure, is going to stay put. And then also underneath is a layer of gesso on this board. So it's not like it's going to ruin the board itself by having things seep through. I think I'm going to look into that because I love texture. I kept the grain on this one and I love the hairline cracks, and that's such a cool little feature. I love it when things look old, especially when it's like high-end kind of stuff and it's like, we made it look vintage for you, and I love it. So we're gonna see if this is gonna work.
Thank you for watching.